Oh boy. So the Acolyte episode 7 just came out like an hour or so ago, whatever. I managed to catch it pretty early, right after it premiered, so guess that's the only good thing about this episode, because the rest of it was just terrible. It's just another L, nothing new for the Acolyte show, right? This episode is just basically everything that happened the day that the Jedi tried to adopt May, and her whole village burned down into flames. So we get more information about that day from the Jedi's perspective this time, instead of the twins or the mother's perspective. And we're seeing these scenes and it's all Soul's fault. Everybody is saying, yeah, Soul's my favorite character, yeah, I like Soul, he's the only one. I was one of those people too, but now I take all that back. It's just character assassination at this point, because in the past few episodes it seems like he was on the good side of things, and maybe some other Jedi were tripping or the witches were tripping, but nope, it was all Soul, because he let his emotional attachment or connection to Osha get the better of his logical thinking and judgment as a Jedi Master. And so basically the Jedi are on the twins' home planet. I forget the name, but they're on the home planet, and Soul stumbles upon the twins during that scene with the butterfly, and then the Darth Maul lady mom thingy goes and takes them back for their safety. So this episode is just Soul and a bunch of other people on the planet just jumping to conclusions without properly communicating, because Soul sees the two children gets disciplined by one of their mothers, and he tells the other Jedi members he's with, oh hey, I don't feel like they're safe, yeah, I don't know, something feels off. And I'm just thinking the whole time, well, you don't know nothing about this planet, why don't you investigate more? So he does investigate more, but he sees them when they're training, and he catches the last second when the other mom that looks like a human force pushes both of them, and he sees that as abuse, but he didn't see everything before that. It's kind of like when you have a group of friends talking and the one friend catches in on the conversation right at the wrong time without hearing what came before. So it's literally what that situation is. And the way they filmed it, they made it seem like the twins saw Soul spying on them, but when they had that episode officially out, I think that was episode 3, when they had episode 3 airing, it didn't look like they noticed the Jedi was there. So I don't know, I'll have to look back there, but everything was just the Jedi's fault. So they're just like, yeah, let's go investigate, they're not safe. So then we actually get to see, I guess, more reasoning why Master Torben killed himself, which still doesn't make sense to me. But basically, the main leader of the Night Sisters or witches got into his head, and she's telling him how she could bring out his deepest desires and fulfill his wishes, but his wish is just to go back home. So it sounds like he doesn't even want to be a Jedi, kind of like he was forced to be here, because the whole time he's just looking for every chance to ask Andara if they could go back home. And she's just like, no, we gotta finish this mission. So so basically they show how they tested the twins and how the mothers told them to lie and act like they failed. And here we just see Soul go off the rails because he's super attached to these twins that he knows nothing about. He saw them get disciplined twice and assumes the worst. And he goes, oh, they have one of them has a marking on her head. What about the other one? And then Andara is the only one with common sense here. She's telling him, hey, we don't know how their culture is. Let's not assume. We don't know what's going on. So they do ask her, and then May kind of sells it, right? She goes, oh yeah, and my mother says, sacrifice is necessary and blah, blah, blah. So then that's when all the Jedi are like, okay, maybe these kids aren't safe, which is it's just dumb. But when bullcrap happens. Then we cut to where the training happens. I forgot to mention this earlier. We go to where the training happens, and they're like, yeah, go to your rooms. But this is when May and Osha were fighting, so they get separated. So May goes with the Darth Maul figure, and Osha stays with the regular humanoid mom. And and you would think the Darth Maul mom would give May a talking, right? But no, she immediately goes, you want to stop your sister? Then go stop them. And then she just gives her a little training lesson, so she confirms that she knows how to use the Force or whatever. And she said, yeah, that's right, get angry. And it's just so cringe. It's just cringe. She's like, yeah, get angry. So she gets the idea to lock Osha in her room. May gets the idea to lock Osha in her room. And on episode 3, the way they filmed it made it look like she had the fire in her hand like this, and she lit that fire on purpose. But nope, she did it by accident somehow. She dropped that whole thing by accident, and it spread it that wildly. And then, here's another thing of jumping to conclusions. Sol and Torben are confronted by the two mothers, and they're talking, and May comes out and she says, Mom, help. And, we see the fire coming behind her, and, the human mom is looking at May, and she's like, no. And it looks, you can see she turns it to like this black smoke or whatever, and the smoke is going towards May, and Sol gets the bright idea to Jedi stab her. I don't know how you stab someone through mid-teleportation, but okay. I've never seen anybody get stabbed mid-teleportation before, but alright, especially when they turn into smoke, you would think that wouldn't have a physical form to stab a lightsaber through. So yeah, she dies, and then the Darth Maul mom is getting mad, fighting Sol, and she has the funniest line delivery in the whole series. She's like, fight me! Fight me! Ah! Right. And when he does start taking the fight a little seriously, he cooks her, of course, because he's, professionally trained. And here's the other weird part where the power scaling of the witches is coming into place. The Darth Maul mom runs away, and the Chewbacca Jedi, or the Wookiee Jedi I should say, is possessed. And they're fighting the Wookiee, but Wookiees are super strong, hand-to-hand and in lightsaber combat. So Endara comes to the rescue and uses the Force to clean his mind from the mind control. But we see that the Wookiee was being mind controlled by not one witch, but the rest of the tribe. So it took a whole tribe just to mind control one Wookiee. What are you training for again? If you're just that weak enough that you have to have the whole tribe just to control one person, whereas earlier we seen one of the mothers control one Jedi all by herself. That's just weird. And then Endara clears the Wookiee of the mind control, and the rest of the tribe just dies. I guess they kind of pass out, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is from them getting the psychic connection, cut or whatever, and they just temporarily passed out. Nope, we see how they were in episode 3, just laying dead like that, no explanation. Nobody else killed them. It wasn't Torben, it wasn't Sol, Endara and the Wookiee were nowhere near them, so they must have died because Endara put the Wookiee's mind back in the right place. So I don't know how these night witches are perceived as a threat when they can't even handle someone else disabling a spell of theirs, or how they're getting stabbed after they turn into basically smoke. It's just stupid. So then we see Sol and May and Osha on that shot where the bridge was split in between them, and now they make it look like Soul tried to save both of them, but he's just really attached to Osha, so he just chooses to save Osha and let May die, and then that's basically the end of the episode. It's just, well, no, not actually, because Endara is like, yes, we're gonna tell Coruscant the truth, and Soul's like, okay, and Endara goes, yeah, May burned down the village, May burnt everything down, there was nothing left. And I thought to myself, well, this is true from a certain point of view, right? Because she did burn down the whole village, but Endara or nobody was there to see that, so they kind of got lucky with that lie they told. So they kind of told the truth, but then that's basically the episode and where it ends. So I gotta say, this episode was just disappointing. Give it a 3 out of 10 at best. I'm glad we get to see what happened, but everything that we see happen, especially from Torben's point of view, is I still don't understand why he killed himself. He did go off the rails a little bit because Soul got in his head that the kids were unsafe, but he didn't actually kill anybody that night or do anything significant that night besides get his scar from fighting the Wookiee Jedi. So I don't know why he was convinced by May into killing himself 16 years later. And can we talk about how badly he aged in 16 years? The guy looks like he's my age, and then 16 years later, he's like in his 40s. It's just weird. But yeah, that's gonna be about it. Just another disappointing episode from the Acolyte. I wasn't as bored as I was with last week's episode of Jedi Master Swap, but it was still kind of contradictory. It seems like every time the show tries to do a flashback of some sort, they contradict what they established before, or they try to edit something out to make it seem like this way when that wasn't the case. It's just weird. So that's gonna be about it. Let me know what you guys think, or discuss among yourselves what you guys think about this episode in the comments below. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can be notified about when my new videos come out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.